Okay, well, we have to get this done really, really quickly because I need to go back to actually start playing this game again because it's whatever. This is Disgaea 2. It's from Nippon Ichi Software. Oh, I feel dirty saying that. It's built on a custom engine. You can pick it up for around 20 of your local currency. What is it? When Adell and his family accidentally kidnap the princess of the Netherworld, all hell breaks loose. Adell races to return the princess to her home, where he hopes to defeat the Overlord and break the curse on his world, and set fire to the rain, something, Skyfall. Those are the only two Adell songs I actually know. Full disclosure, these guys sent us keys because they're wonderful, wonderful human beings. And another disclosure, Scott Michaud, the freaking Ottawa liver who lives in Ottawa. He gave us more money on Patreon, so he gets a mention.
Thanks, Scott.
Scoot,
Hey,
what are you do? Why you interrupt?
Scott writes on PCPer.com. Give him a plug.
Yes,
That is true. He is on PCPer.com. You can see his articles of dubious quality. We love you, Scott.
At least he doesn't quote Pharonix, Jeremy Hillstrom.
Oh shit! Shots fired. Let's cue the CHAIRQUISITION before this fire gets any more out of control. 1 chair means that it's garbage. 2 chairs means that's meh. 3 chairs means it's pretty good. 4 chairs means it's awesome sauce. It's got a categories of doom, makes the working, shiny, sounds, controls, and fun. So then, what did it make with the working?
Everything's on fire, Brad. And that actually is, as I screech over here to get the video source up. Boom, done. Hey, man. This ran over here on the Ubuntu 1604 box of business with an old 80 crusty 150 with an even older, crustier 980 displayed at UHD 3840 by 2160. 60 frames a second, but it's a PS2 title from...
You want to keep that VSync on.
Billions of years ago, so damn wet, better. And, hey, it did. Didn't have any issues with it. I mean, it launched, everything worked. But... that's a lie, because there is one really serious fucking issue that I had, because this is a game that works with a controller. We'll get into that in the control section, but it causes the monitor to time out. Some games still do this. This one does. And guess what? That is rather annoying when you're halfway across the damn studio, conked out on your wub sofa. I had to get rid of my Unt sofa. Now I have a wub sofa. And... you're like sideways, and you're like, everything goes racist on you. You're like, what? I have to move? Bullshit! So, yes, for forcing me to get up. Screw your game. You only get 3 cheers.
Oh no, Ben, you're so infirm. Yeah, I didn't have that problem. I was playing it on the TV box. On the AMD A10 5800K with the 750 Ti low profile. This thing ran with Fedora 25 on that one very, very well. No issues. I also tested it out on the i7 6700K with the GTX 980. Still, the CPU is not so crusty. The GPU might be a little crusty. That's completely different, though. Completely separate issue. Nothing to do with this game. Maybe a little. Yeah, works perfectly fine out of the box on Fedora 24. Fedora 25, I gotta give it 4 cheers for that.
Yeah, on my end, I tried it on both this box with the very, very crusty FX 8370E and the GTX 1080, which is, let's face it, it's not that crusty. I mean, it barely gets any use. But hey, bottlenecks aside, I also tried it on the cheapo laptop, and it held 60 FPS on the Core i3 4005U Haswell iGPU thingy that it has. So yeah, 4 chairs, just it works.
Well, it got 3 chairs in totem because Ven is lazy. Up next to Shiny and Sounds.
Hey man, have you ever played Ocarina of Time on an N64 emulator? Yeah, guess what? This game... yeah, okay. Ocarina of Time N64 emulator is less jarring than this game. By default, you get a wicked high-res menus and art mixed in with some melted, like, kill me now pixel graphics. However, if you disable the pixel filter, things start looking legit. Now, I'm not saying that it prevents characters from clashing with the 2006 3D backgrounds. 2006, everything used to be fucking 3D. But it does help. Now... that's it. It looks all right, especially when you got that filter off. You kind of enjoy it because it's, it's 2006 proto-hipster pixel, and they were still doing things pretty spot on back then. But then we get to the English voice acting. The English voice acting killed my houseplant. Okay? And The penguins that you first start off fighting, screaming, dude, dude. Yeah, those penguins salted the earth that said houseplant was put in. It was horrible. I love that plan. And the background music, it's all right. It's even passable, but it is on one wicked short loop. Music. At some point, it's like, just go away. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Pretty solid 3 right there.
Yeah, this is a PlayStation 2 game, and it came out many, many moons ago. Holy shit, 11 years ago. I feel old. But an HD remake, this is not. The sprites look bad. I took Ben's advice, cut off the character filter, and everything looks much, much better. I agree with Ben. They could have used some variety on the background music. I mean, I'm 8 hours in the game now, and I haven't gotten completely sick of it. And just mainly because I've been trained by retail to tune out background music. So it's just like this sort of dull hum that I hear. It's like whenever Pedro starts talking, I sort of do the same thing. The voice acting though is just cheese whiz. It's not even cheese. It's like one carbon molecule away from being considered a plastic. And I kind of like it for that reason alone, even though the main character sometimes acts like a whiny bitch. She gets shut down by his sister quite a bit, which is hilarious. Yep. The dialogue in here is very sharp and twisted, and I love it. The voice acting does its work to get that across. It doesn't really win any style points, though, for the Shiny and the Sounds department. It will for other things, but we'll get to that later. 2 cheers.
Yeah, no, I was a bit disappointed by the aesthetics in this game. The character sprites, they were just upscaled, and they don't really look any good when you're playing at 1080p, regardless of which of the filters you're using. So yeah, like Jordan and Ven already mentioned, you're better off just cutting off that filter entirely and just playing with the pixels. It's better. The background music, yeah, no, it starts to grate after a while. And the voice acting, I get that they were going for purposefully camp voice acting, but being campy on purpose is still being campy. And after a while, I just started skipping the story cutscenes because I just couldn't deal with it. 2 chairs.
Okay, well, that's 2 chairs for the Shiny and the Sounds. Up next is Control, then.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, it worked out of the box using the X-Clone controller. Notice how it has no official Microsoft markings because it might have fell off a truck somewhere in the China plant where they were making the X-Clone controllers. Didn't have an issue with it, and you can rebind all the controls, so I'd be hard-pressed to have something negative to say with it. I guess you could play something originally designed for PS2 using your keyboard and gerbil. Then again, you can also play in traffic. I don't judge. Jordan, I do believe, will talk further about some legitimate issues, but I kind of had to look at it as what I would expect from a PS2 era game and judge it accordingly with a solid 4.
Yeah, I mean, the control. Don't get me wrong, controls are absolutely fine. The buttons you press do exactly what you expect them to do. The nitpick I have, and that's what's going to cost it a chair, is the camera and square selection can eat a gigantic bag of dicks. Oh my god! Like I was using the Steam controller because it's wireless. I was playing on the couch, and I don't want to strangle myself with a cable while I'm playing video games. I'll do that afterwards, but you know, I need all the blood going in my brain if I'm going to actually be playing games. And yeah, when you rotate the map, it's at this, especially for levels that have like a lot of empty space where like you can't walk on them. They're just sort of bottomless pits that I found out in some cases you actually have to throw your allies across. Otherwise you get stuck there. And I'm like, would this even work? Oh shit, it does work. TIL. But yeah, when you rotate the camera, it puts it at this really awkward angle where you can't really see anything. And the isometric square selection is really, really bad because things don't necessarily line up in a sensical manner, and it just gets annoying trying to... It's the Russian roulette of which square am I actually trying to select? Is it this one? No. Is it this one? No. Is it this one? Blam! 3 chairs.
Yeah, no, as you see, the secret to that is basically looking at the lower third of the screen and seeing what you're selecting. Because if you're selecting a character, you see its stats and its name and everything else. So all you need to do is pay attention. Now, on my end, I played it with the Mistress, aka the Steam controller. Everything worked out of the box, and I had absolutely no issues. 4 chairs.
All right. Well, that is 3 cheers for Control, and let's wrap this up. Ben, did you have fun playing Disgaea?
2016 was a different time. Pluto was downgraded from a planet, Borat gets released, and you know what? The Googs buys the tubes.
You mean 2006?
Did I say 2003?
It was a very fun year.
2016.
Well, 2006 it is then. And you might have guessed. Disgaea? Is it Disgaea or Disgaea? Disgaea 2. Well, it arrived on that PS2. And you see, kids, 2006, it was just a little bit of a different time because Trigger McOutrage culture, it didn't exist. And having a teacher in a kid's classroom dressed as a dominatrix, wielding a flog, talking about punishment was the norm. At least it was in Japanese RPGs, and this game has it in spades. And granted, this is my first JRPG, and surprisingly, I don't completely hate it. Yeah, turn-based games like this, they pretty much make Bobby Vin cry, but it found a tissue for my issue. I mean, it seems that I can grind through turn-based strategy and stuff like that if you attach a properly, genuinely, unfucking hinged storyline to it. Oh, man, did they do that. And they did it in spades, son. And the storyline, it's not necessarily LOL funny. It's more like WTF funny. And, hey, come on. WTF and Japan go together like poutine on a Canadian, son. Gameplay,
that's why we have the Nippon Sanity in the chat room.
It's pretty wild, man. Gameplay, it's generic as hell. At times, some of the shit is borderline spreadsheet simulator. I just got to be honest with that because my 2+ hours in, I'm only slightly beginning to figure out what the hell's going on. I think Renaud LePage wrote it. He's like, dude, I'm 6 fucking hours in and I'm just figuring out what the hell's going on. But even on top of that, what do? You battle, you win, you get points, you buy armor and shite, heal the team, and replace the ones that you lost. There's also some kind of warrant system that I've yet to wrap my mind organ remotely around. You know what? Fuck that. There are so many subsystems in this game that both anger and confuse old man Vin. However, that's not a bad thing since it kind of allows me to put this game firmly in the, air quotes, stuck on a fucking desert island category. Meaning if I had a shitload of time to kill, I would definitely pick this critter up. I mean, I always look at turn-based strategy. I've never really played a JRPG before. But something like this, I always go into it as well, maybe this will be the one that I like. And I'll be perfectly honest, if this was a fully remastered as opposed to a direct port of the PS2 game, I could give it more than I could. Brace yourselves, because I'm going to give it 3.
Oof. So I've apparently gone into a fugue state and lost several hours playing this game without realizing it. But, I mean, seriously, this is the exact sort of micromanagey, grindy bullshit that makes my autism super happy. From managing equipment to trying to evenly level characters so that everyone can do stuff and not get killed by a single attack, and setting up all those crazy nifty combos, tweaking the items with the item dungeon system, which is actually still running in the other room right now. I just stopped playing that to record this. So there's going to be an extra 4 hours of Disgaea that I haven't actually played on my Steam charts. But my heart is there. My body is here and ready. And honestly, by just feeding into the stuff that I inherently enjoy about these sorts of games, I would get 4 chairs on that merit alone. But the icing on the cake is just the wonderfully twisted dialogue, which legitimately got a couple good belly laughs out of me. I really like this game. I would highly recommend it if you like Final Fantasy Tactics or turn-based strategy, if you're a Fire Emblem fan. There is another one from Behemoth that I actually want to play that's a little similar. Dragon Ball Fusions is another one. Either way, grid-based combat, placing people, making attacks. I love that stuff. My only gripe is with the camera, but that's not going to stop me from giving it 4 chairs. I need to go play that right now. Excuse me.
Yeah, no, the only real complaint I have is that for a sort of remastered edition of a PS2/PSP game, the graphics and even the sounds are a bit meh. But then again, this is a tactics JRPG. It's a genre, subgenre, whatever you want to call it, which focuses almost exclusively on narrative and mechanics. Unless it's made by Square Enix, but that's not the case here. Disgaea 2, which I as I was writing the show notes, I kept typing as Disgaea 2. The narrative is mostly optional, and it actually does give you the chance to skip it at the start of just about almost every scene. That's the mark of someone who is well aware of the load of anime and JRPG tropes they crammed into their game and realize that some people just aren't into that. You have the casual incest implications, the unwavering confidence of the hero, which inevitably gets dashed at the midpoint of the game, the female main character, which acts as the love interest, the audience surrogate, and the main driving point for the plot. I'll be honest, I just started skipping the story, and got on with the combat because that's where the meat of the game is. The combat may be the meal itself or the meat itself, but the seasoning is the micromanagement. And I spent a good hour just micromanaging all of the party members and their equipment after I finished the Little Sister summoning side quest, and I wasn't bored. That's amazing. I wanted to make sure that just every single one of those characters had proper equipment and was at least competent should I need them in combat. And hell, you can go into an item and do its inner dungeon to improve its stats and just get better stuff as well. I like it. I like this game. 3 chairs.
So that's 3 chairs for the fun segment. And if we wrap this up, we get 2 chairs, but I'm going to throw an asteroid on that because the thing that brought it down is the fact that this is not an HD remake and Ven's monitor times out. Final thoughts, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, hang on, I don't want to do that properly. Asteroid got lost to 2 chairs and the asteroid. There we go.
There we go. For posterity. Fix it in post. We're good. So, final thoughts.
Hey, man. I'm kind of like reverse Pedro on this because I ended up playing through the combat to get back to the fucked up story. I was like, what the fuck? Okay. And I can just only imagine how edgy that was, back in 2006. Kind of like when you go back and play some of the Double Fighting games that you've never played. And it was like, you got away with that shit? Oh, boy.
Yeah, no, Psychonauts 2 was a very good example of that. But as for Disgaea 2, I didn't quite enjoy it as much as I did Final Fantasy Tactics. Maybe it had to do with the medium because I played Final Fantasy Tactics on my PSP, and I just played a lot of that game. But this one, it seems to be missing a bit of the charm. Maybe it's because I wasn't really into the narrative, as it were, at least not the narrative that the game developers put into the game. But I really enjoyed the combat, and I really enjoyed the micromanagement, and I really enjoy all the mechanics that go around that. So yeah, no, I like it a lot.
Yeah, this game's crack. I love it. All this is reinforce. All this game has served to do is give me something else to waste my time on, and reinforce the fact that when Into the Breach comes out, I'm going to literally disappear. You will not hear from me for a great number, many months.